All right, good morning, or well, possibly afternoon, everybody. I'm really sorry that I couldn't come in. I am just very much not feeling well. And so the way that today's going to work is that you're going to have just a little bit of practice time. I'm going to go through some of the examples that I really want us to make sure that we got. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and actually start with this do now. Looking at number 1 now, this is cross multiplication. I know we haven't seen it in some time, but let's remember that when we make these annotations, it's to remind us what we are multiplying together, right? And so I should have 4 times y plus 3. That's going to be equal to negative 2 times x minus 1. Now, keep in mind here, we're looking to solve for the value of y. And so what that really means is that we need to end up with y is equal to some number. We don't know what it's going to be, or it's not even specifically some number, right? It just needs to be equal to something. And so I'm going to go ahead and distribute this 4 and distribute this negative 2. I'm going to have that 4y plus 12 is equal to negative 2x plus 2. Well, I'm going to get this 12 out of there by subtracting 12 on both sides. We're going to learn that 4y is equal to negative 2x minus 10. Now, normally we would go through and we would divide by 4 because it's a coefficient. But when we're working with literal equations, we actually want to think of this as multiplication by the reciprocal. And so what I mean by that is we want to instead think of this as multiplying by 1/4. We're going to do that on both sides. And so when we do that over here, this is going to get multiplied in. And then on the right-hand side, this is actually going to get distributed. We got to make sure that we're multiplying both terms. And so we're going to have 4 over 4y is equal to negative 2 over 4x minus 10 over 4. Okay, well now all that's left is to actually just go through and clean up these fractions, right? Because 4 over 4, well that's 1, so that's going to cancel. Simple enough. And so what I'm going to be left with here is going to be y is equal to negative 1/2 x minus 5 over 2. And there it is. All right, pause the video if you need to make sure that you have all this down, and then when you're ready to move on, go ahead and press play. All right, so that's going to be the only one we go over in the do now, because I want to be able to jump into the meat of today's lesson, which is going to be some review on literal equations. Now, looking at problem set A, number 1, there's a typo. We're going to just kind of cross this out, because as you can see, there are no options below. And so what I want you to do is, simply as we did above, solve for y. And number 1, I want you to solve for y. We're going to start with just number 1. You're going to work silent and solo, and you're going to have 3 minutes. Go ahead and pause the video here. All right, so you've had some time to work on this. And so when I'm solving for y, as we saw up above, we know that right away we need y is going to be equal to something. We don't know what it is, but y has got to be alone. We need to isolate it. And so I'm going to start by moving this 2x. And so this c, I'm not actually super worried about what that c is, because it's okay that we don't know. And so we're going to have 12y is equal to 2x plus c. And now from here, again, really similar to our do now, normally, yeah, we would divide by 12, but we're actually going to think of this as multiplication by the reciprocal. And so this is really multiplying by 1/12 on either side. On the left, again, simple multiplication, we're only hitting one term, but on the right, we got to distribute that. And so again, I'm going to have 12 over 12y is equal to 2 over 12x plus 1 over 12c. Now, 1 over 12c, can't really do anything. That's going to stay. However, the other two fractions we can clean up. This will cancel, and this we can reduce. And so we're going to find that y is equal to 1 over 6x plus 1 over 12c. All right, make sure you've got that down. Pause if you need. All right, so we've done that, and we've gone through pretty much 2 examples of this now. And so I want you to do numbers 2 and 3, silent and solo again, please. You're going to have 5 minutes to work on these 2 questions. Go. All right, so coming back here, we are looking to solve for w. Now, you're going to see me do this pretty much every time we see solve for, and it's because we got to remember what that actually means. It means that we're going to have w equal to something. Specifically when we have in terms of P and L, it means that P and L have to be included in our final answer. And so if I'm looking to solve for W, I'm just trying to isolate W. And so I need this term right here. This term, it's got to be alone. And so I got to get that 2L out of there. And so I'm going to subtract 2L on both sides. And so what I'm going to find is that P minus 2L is going to be equal to 2W. Now, from here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue on thinking of this as multiplication by the reciprocal, right? We're going to multiply by 1/2 on both sides. And again, where I have more than one term, I got to make sure I'm distributing. And so I'm going to have P over 2 minus 2L over 2 equals 2 over 2W. Just going to go through, clean this up, and learn that W is equal to, I'm just switching sides here, P over 2 minus L. And there it is. And now, excuse me, while working down here, you should have hopefully found out that your answer is A. If you have questions specifically on number 3, whoever's filling in for me today does have a key and will be able to show that work. All right, pause here if you need to get anything down. All right, so for the rest of the class, you're going to work through problem set B. Now, if you take a look and read, right, you want to determine the number of solutions for the following. So some of them are going to have 1, none, infinite solutions. Make sure that you have your notes open to that lovely table that we made to determine exactly what that looks like, right? Because we know some things about each of those options. If there's only one solution, though, you need to determine its value. So if there is one solution, you have to solve for x. I'm pretty sure these are all x. Yeah, you should solve for x if there's only one solution. Otherwise, tell me why there's infinite or none. You're going to have 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Go ahead and work on this problem set. All right, now, I'm only going to go over a couple of these, just for the sake of time here. Remember that we got to distribute. And so if we're looking at this first one, we know that 14 plus 35, there we go, 35x is equal to 3x plus 14. Now, I want to look at this one specifically because we want to make sure and see that we're not jumping to conclusions too quickly here. I'm going to start by moving 3x over first. And so I'm going to have 14 plus 32x is equal to 14. Now, from here, I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. And so I'm going to learn that 32x is equal to 0. And so once we see this, I want to make sure that we are not jumping to the conclusion that there's no solution. Because there is, right? Continue working this just as though this wasn't 0. What would we normally do? We would normally divide by 32 because it's our lovely coefficient. And what we would find is that x is going to be equal to, well, 0 divided by 32 is just 0. And that would be our solution. All right, again, whoever's filling in for me has the answers for all these. So if there's anything specific you want to see, go ahead and pause the video and go over those answers now. Otherwise, go ahead and work through that exit ticket. Please hand your exit ticket in. Again, I'm going to highly recommend that you hang on to your packet because it's going to be a very valuable study guide as we go into next week. Have a wonderful day. And again, I'm so sorry I couldn't be there today. Thanks. Bye.